So we recently set out to pull a really specific, high-stakes document from ElevateConsult.com. The target, a piece of data titled The Cost of Inaction, AI Risk Assessment versus Fines. But instead of actually getting that data, we hit an absolute digital brick wall. What you're seeing isn't the risk assessment itself. It's the automated gatekeeper standing right in front of it. Today, we're doing a total post-mortem on this exact security interception. Because let's face it, this collision between automated data extraction and modern bot mitigation is a fundamental reality of the web right now. Understanding the mechanics of how and why this access gets blocked, it's absolutely crucial. Let's dive into it.
And you know what? The system doesn't give you a polite little apology. It just hits you with a cold, hard fact. This website uses a security service to protect against malicious bots. Boom. Right away, our automated request to read up on AI risk assessment was flagged and stopped dead in its tracks. It was suspected of being a malicious bot. This is layer 1 of the digital security gate. It sets up an immediate binary. You are either a verified, living, breathing human, or you're a threat. There's no in between. The whole system just grinds to a halt until that binary is resolved.
So then it drops you into this seemingly polite holding pattern. You get the classic, just a moment, performing security verification message. But make no mistake, this is not just some passive waiting room. This is a highly active, ongoing interrogation protocol happening over the ElevateConsult.com domain. The security service is working overtime in the background. It's a deep dive analytical check where everything, your browser, your connection, your behavior, is being relentlessly measured against strict security parameters. You're basically trapped in this just a moment limbo while the algorithm decides your fate. Which begs the question, who exactly is running this interrogation? Well, if you look at the source, the infrastructural gatekeeper is Cloudflare. It explicitly says performance and security by Cloudflare, and that's tied directly to their enforced privacy policy. Cloudflare is the heavy-duty architecture running this entire verification protocol. They're the bouncers standing between our initial request and the actual website. Every single byte of this security check and the privacy rules that govern it is being routed straight through Cloudflare's massive global network.
Okay, now we get to the absolute core of how this system logs this kind of friction. The system generates what's called a Ray ID. In our source data, it spit out this distinct 16-character string. So what actually is that? Well, it's a completely unique alphanumeric diagnostic tracking fingerprint. Cloudflare assigns this exact string to this one single specific intercepted web interaction. It's not a generic error code, it is totally permanent. So if ElevateConsult.com ever needs to investigate why this request was blocked, or if a user needs to prove they were falsely flagged, this Ray ID is the precise, isolated fingerprint of that specific denied request. Let's just look at that specific Ray ID string for a second. This 16-character code is really the ultimate proof of how modern digital systems log automated friction. Whenever a digital security gate drops on you, a permanent record is created. Basically, there is zero anonymity in the block. The system perfectly catalogs the exact millisecond that an automated scraping attempt failed. It's an unhurried, commanding way of tracking traffic. It guarantees that every single interaction, especially the ones that get denied, is permanently documented deep within the security architecture.
And right here is where we see the massive gap in our data retrieval. On one hand, you have the target data we actually want, a potentially highly valuable document breaking down the cost of an action, AI risk assessment versus fines. But on the other hand, we have our current structural reality, an endless loop that just says, waiting for ElevateConsultant.com to respond. The intended dataset? It's entirely inaccessible to us. The real hidden friction here is that the knowledge itself is totally locked away. We literally cannot analyze the cost of an action, because the automated security layer has entirely superseded the content layer. It's a wall we just can't see past.
Which brings us to this point of profound, almost painful dramatic irony in the source text. Listen to this exact quote from the gatekeeper. Verification successful, waiting for ElevateConsult.com to respond. Think about that. The security service actually finished its check. It literally deemed the verification successful. The digital brick wall recognized we cleared the immediate bot threat. And yet, the extraction remains completely halted. The system is technically open, but the host just isn't responding to our successfully verified request. The whole data extraction process is just frozen in this weird state of successful failure. So how do we actually break this freeze? Well, the source text gives us a strict tactical action plan. The system dictates explicit, sequential browser configurations you have to use to bypass this wall and force the host to respond. Step 1. Enable JavaScript to continue. Step 2. Enable cookies to continue. Now, these aren't just generic IT buzzwords. They are the exact technical levers you have to pull to satisfy Cloudflare's architecture. Because without JavaScript, those active security verification scripts, they can't run. And without cookies, the system literally cannot remember that you successfully passed the verification just a moment ago.
It really is wild when you step back and look at it. We originally set out to read an explainer on the fines associated with AI risk assessment, but instead, we were subjected to a risk assessment by an AI-driven security system. It really makes you think. When the exact knowledge we need to understand AI is permanently blocked by an automated security gatekeeper. What is the absolute, ultimate cost of this digital friction?